All right, all right, all right. What's happening, everybody, man? Thank you guys for jumping in. Welcome to the Power Hour. Got my man, Mr. Cuz Jay Kinda, coming
What's up,
in
guys?
coming in hot from Puerto Rico.
Coming in slow with the slow internet roll.
As long as the power doesn't go out and the generator kick on, we're okay.
That's a pretty much a given these days. It's not like there's any bad weather here either, too. It's like it just happens.
It's unbelievable. Like the wind's not even blowing hard. Oh shit. Hey, so appreciate you guys jumping in. If you got any questions, comments, anything, throw it into the chat. We would love to unpack or dive deep on anything, but we didn't want to dive too deep to what we were talking about because we wanted to bring it to you because there's a lot of lessons to be learned to unpack. And what we were talking about the national championship football game last night, and so yeah, just fascinating. It was hard to watch the first half, and but that second half, unbelievable. But share kind of what you and I were talking about before we hit live.
Yeah.
Talking about Georgia.
Yeah, anytime you're dealing with national championships, you're dealing with high levels of leadership, and I just finished every time a new episode of Tom Brady stuff comes out, I have to watch that. If you haven't seen that on ESPN, I think it's on ESPN Plus. The man in the arena, pretty entertaining, good stuff. But we're talking about Georgia, and earlier in the season there was a segment. It was the 5th game of the year, I think it was, and they were 5-0, and at the time the defense had outscored the offense of every team they played, which was just a bewildering stat to me. I was like, that's. The defense for Georgia has outscored every team that they've played. What? Like that was impressive. And so they did this little segment with I can't remember the guy. He's the real animated guy that they send in for college games from red beard, skinny guy. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember his name, but he had done this interview with the defensive group at Georgia and the leadership. And the willingness to, like, they established who their leader was, and they said whatever play he calls, what play we're running, and it don't matter, nothing else matters. Like it was cool to see the leadership at that level. You know what I'm saying? Like where they had no ego whatsoever, none, and you could just see it, you could feel it. I was like, man, I think if I was going to bet on anybody right now in the season, I'd bet on Georgia to win, even though they got beat by Alabama later that year, this year. But it was just it's your ability to lead others into battle and do what's necessary to win a national championship is not an easy thing to do. And so you can just where you find champions, you'll always find great leadership. And so I'm always looking for those lessons. And what a resilient team too, man. Like especially that quarterback after throwing that interception or having that fumble, to come back, bounce back was cool to see.
Man, what a perfect coverage too on that one go ahead touchdown, and ridiculous. Him for that receiver to make that catch, like reaching back, end it out.
Yeah,
unbelievable. There's so many NFL players on that field last night. Jeez. Yeah, I'm with you, man. If you guys haven't seen the Tom Brady Man in the Arena, it's fascinating, and just even the maturity of him throughout each of the episodes, each of the years, as he was continuing to grow.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't count them out until they're out this year.
Yeah,
either.
That's for sure.
Anytime you got Brady back there, you got a chance. It's unbelievable. You and I've been the same way, right? I'm not a homer. I ain't jumping on, the Tom Brady bandwagon, other than you just want to pay attention to greatness.
Yeah, I hated the Patriots so bad. I had a hard time getting on the Brady bandwagon until that Atlanta, the comeback in Atlanta. I was like, oh, okay, you're the GOAT, fine.
Yeah,
it was just so obvious at that point. But yeah, he's impressive.
Yeah. That was one of the most recent ones. Not the last one. The last one they showed they lost. And then the other one before that was that one with the comeback against Atlanta. And it was just like even the Atlanta players there were like, ain't no lead big enough. They got Tom Brady. Ain't no league big enough. They got Tom Brady.
Right.
That was the Atlanta players were saying that.
Yeah, that during the Super Bowl, like we ain't got a big enough lead. This is Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. They got the GOAT over there. That's what Atlanta players were saying. Like, just so much damn respect. It's unbelievable. And so it's fascinating. What's up, everybody? Hillsman. Yeah. Been a while for sure. So we've got a couple questions here from Giselle. She's kind of asking. So we want to get over to the attraction side of things, but I think before we maybe answer her question, unpack a little bit about the conversation that you and Al and Coach Burt had last night, because you guys were really kind of talking about that from an attraction standpoint. And I know that'll segue right into Giselle's questions, and I'm sure anybody that's looking at this from an attraction standpoint.
Yeah, it's and I don't know if I have any notes from last night. I think I do, but we were talking about person of interest and what it takes to play at that level. We got a couple things, and in fact, I'm going to go back through the training. I know one of the things he's creating is a coaching process where you identify what area, these 5 key areas that people of influence, character traits that they have, and then how do you coach directly to the ones that maybe you're missing. And I thought that was after taking this test calling Go Pro or Going Pro, something like that. But so that's something that's coming. I can't wait to see that, because I think that there's definitely some identified with the traits, like with everybody I know that's a person of influence and that's doing a great job of attracting. Those were all things that were a part of it. So they have a very specific knowledge, impeccable skill, extremely high prey drive, a contagious confidence, and they're bold. And so what was the 5th one? They have he calls it a famous energy. Their ability to have a deep connection with people, a sense of awareness of others and people that need help. They have entrenched networks, and I guess there's 7, huh? And then the X factor, the free prize, comes from their past experience, losses, wins, things they've been through that uniquely qualifies them to help someone else.
100%. And that's
Go ahead. No, go ahead. No, I was just
going to say on that X factor, that's that unique ability, right? That we all possess, that unique talent that we have. And so that really ties in with those 7 key characteristics. And it's really good. I had a good conversation. I had watched the first half with Kurtzinger, and we just grabbed dinner and was watching the game. And then on the way back to the house, I called Alex and we chatted for a little bit. But we were talking about, and it goes back down to that first thing you said: people of interest, a specific knowledge. They're a specialist. And what we were talking about, we were talking through a couple of examples, was how you've got to really niche down. Hey, I'm this. Well, that's too general. Let's go a little bit deeper. Hey, that's still too general. How can you go a little bit deeper? And we were getting into the realm of kind of talking about somebody that, I'm a coach, or I help people grow their business through social Media. And it was kind of the Russell Brunson test of that ain't good enough. Go take it deeper. Okay, well, I help agents, double, triple their business through Facebook and Instagram, right? So it's like, how specific? So that goes back to that one thing you said right there. The very first was a specific knowledge, world-class specific knowledge,
right,
in that characteristic.
It's funny you say that, because even I struggle with what's really my X factor. And so, I just got off a call just a little bit before jumping on this with you here, John. And I was talking to a guy that was talking to a brokerage that does about $5 million in GCI, and they're paying in, with the fees that they're paying in, about 137,000 into where they're at. I said, this is going to be an easy conversation. I said, if they're open-minded and want to grow, the first thing is, they did 225 transactions. I mean, they're mega icon team qualified. I think, I think this, this is how much he's kind of nailed this, Coach Burt, because our past experiences, losses, wins,
Yeah.
the things problems that we had to solve in our own brokerage to be profitable. You know what I'm saying? At the level we had to solve that problem to step out of production. That was I just don't know that a lot of people have gone through that at the level that we had to, with the margins that we had with the average sell price being as low. And so I think we looked at things a lot differently. I mean, if I was in San Diego, I never would have learned those lessons. I never would have divided each person by the amount of square foot, by the water bill, and determined the actual cost per like there was just so much deeper that we went, that we understand, margin, and we understand profitability of a business, and how to do that to get to a point where you can get freedom and step out of production, or get your weekends and evenings back, or whatever it may be. And so, if you're ambitious and you're wanting to build something, and having built a business to selling 50 homes a month and being miserable, like what I'm known for is the year that I was most miserable, selling 500 plus homes a year. There's some lessons, there's some lessons in that are so deeply, they're so deep, and scars and wounds that are so deep that, like, I think there's you got to look for what experiences and what things you've been through that help you find what that is for you, is the lesson in this. But it certainly, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I'll never forget it, dude. I'll never forget waking up, and Mike Reese is calling me. It's 4:00 something in the morning, and for something, because he ain't gonna let the clock strike 5 a.m. Without calling me every single day during the hardest time of my life, which I'm super grateful for. But that was the time where your back's against the wall, and you're either going to come out swinging or you're going to give up. And yeah. That's a time that I wouldn't trade for anything. And so, I kind of know the pains before they sometimes know the pains. You know what I'm saying, John? I know you do too, and I know you had the same exact pains that I had. So yeah, man, it's just you got to find what is that for you, and I think that's what helps you to align. And help those people.
It really is. And, one of the things is kind of, reflecting back on everything that you were kind of sharing right there. And there's a conversation I had a couple months ago with Brett Jennings, and, Jennings he's just relentless in everything he does. And we ended up on the phone, and, he hadn't announced him accomplishing the BHAG that they hit last year, which was a billion closed in real estate. And, he went on a little, kind of a couple minutes, just kind of reflecting back. And he said, one of the things that cause my question to him was, what other doors have opened up? And so we started talking about, ownership equity in all the other doors that open, that we know that people get bites of the apple for us as real estate agents, that we take it on the chin to acquire the cost of a client, but yet we hand it over to other people that get bites of the apple that make money on it for nothing, with us just handing deals to them. And so one of the things that, cause we always talk about is that, the more successful you become, the more doors open. And if you don't know how to look for that opportunity and know your worth, you don't know how to position yourself. And one of the things Jennings was saying, he was like, man, he goes, I'm so grateful for you guys. He goes, I'm grateful that you were in the market you were in. And he said, because if you guys were not in that low price point market, you wouldn't have changed the thinking for me, talking about him in one of the highest price point markets on the planet.
Such a great example.
But he has that mentality that he's not in the highest price point, because he behaves in a way as if he was in our market when your average sales price is 100,000 when you're trying to grow and scale. And it was just, it was so refreshing hearing somebody like him say that, and how he thinks. And he's not thinking about, he's not being rewarded for bad behavior. Like you gave the example of, if we were doing what we were doing in San Diego, we wouldn't have paid attention to the details like we did. And that's what I always tell people, like, if y'all ain't paying attention to the details, or if somebody tells you details don't matter, like run away from them, like run sprint away from that person because the details do matter. And then you take somebody that's disciplined like a Brett Jennings in, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9 average sales price, and you behave in a way as if you're only dealing with the margin of 100,000 sales price. Ain't nobody going to mess with you in your business IQ. Nobody. They can't touch you. And so, I love that. I love those details. I don't even know how we got on this conversation, but it is, like you said, being so, kind of going through that, but it's through those lessons, but it's also, man, like I wouldn't change our market and our price point for nothing. I mean, it shaped how we look at things. It shaped how we see things. It shaped who we reached out to, who we connected with, who we learned from. Like, I mean, Jay Abraham, that guy, like understanding the discipline that we had to go through, but then you strap in his concepts, his viewpoints into, game changer.
Yeah. Oh, sure. So let's go back to kind of the question there on, and here's the thing, if you want to be world class at anything, at EXP, especially with attraction, especially attraction of brokers, if maybe you don't have that experience, then become the best damn connector there is on the planet, because everybody's situation could be a little bit different, but there's somebody that can help solve their biggest challenges, and if you can just become the best person to make that connection, then this model is perfect for that. So like that's trying to do it all yourself and all the heavy lifting is not always the answer. And just getting to know and understand what someone's trying to do and what their biggest problem is, what the biggest opportunity is, and being able to make that connection and leverage your group to do that is another skill set that can be learned. And if you get really good at that, I can tell you, you'll have an easier time recruiting those people, because if you can match those things up for people, you don't have to have had. You don't have to. I don't believe you have to have owned a brokerage and had it nearly lost it and build it back up again, to tear it down and build it up again. I don't think you have to have gone through all of that in order to recruit someone to EXP of that caliber. But you damn sure better be able to make a connection and with them and somebody else. That's going to be the key to that process, in my opinion.
Because what you just said right there, we know this to be true. You don't have to personally have that experience. You can borrow the experience of others. Mm-hmm. And so, the more of, the road that we traveled, then that's an experience you can borrow, which allows you to collapse time. And that's really what it's about is that. And so I loved what you said about being the world-class connector. And so let's go to Giselle's question specifically, and let's talk about what we know to be true from a problem standpoint. And she's like, how do you attract an independent brokerage or a market center? Well, let's talk about what we know to be true, that the problems that keep an independent broker up at night and somebody that's leading or running a market center, what's keeping them awake at night?
They're attracting and retention of talent, long evenings and weekends, profitability, margins, having to be in production. Those are the biggest ones. It could be legal. If you got a bunch of agents that are doing dumb shit, can definitely be a problem. Those are the things that kept us up at night, for sure. Yeah, I'm sure there's others too. And the other thing too, I think is something to recognize is that anybody who's gotten to that level of success, whether they have challenges or not, they care about their people, and so it oftentimes is more important to them to take care of their people than it is anything. And so that's going to be a part of who they are, their character. And if it's not better for their agents, the answer will be no. And so, it can't always just be about the opportunity for them. They are always opportunity seekers. And then, they're genuinely, generally they're looking, they're open to opportunity. And so, they make a great candidate for the conversation, for sure.
They do make a great, but it's also, I think, like what you just said there, is that you've got to be aware of their problems. and you got to be aware of what's keeping them up at night. And more than likely, and it was the path we chose. Hey, buy the franchise or go independent. That was the best of options that we weighed. Now, how we came to that conclusion is we just did the math, and we got real clear on the math, and also, not having to be tied to a long-term agreement that took some of the control and the decision making out of what we were trying to accomplish. And so what I love what you said there, and you and I've said this numerous times, is that if you truly say you care about your people, because as an independent, you're trying to keep a little bit more of the dollar so you can reinvest back into value add back to your team, either in adding additional support, being able to give them a little bit more money, being able to provide a little bit more training, being able to provide something. You're trying to take those dollars and reinvest if you truly care. Like we were thinking, man, how can we do something long-term? How can we provide healthcare? How could we, give them an ownership? Like we, what's the great game of business? What is the, to where you give them a piece of, yeah. So you give them a piece of the game. But at the end of the day, when you really chisel it down and you sharpen the pencil and you put it to paper, the math just doesn't make sense. And so what I would always tell, independents and brokers is like, when I hear them say, man, I really truly care about my people, I don't want to lose any of them. Then I'm like, there is no better option.
Yeah. You're 3 feet gold now, because now, it's interesting because the people have different beliefs based upon what they've seen, and they don't really if they haven't experienced having ownership, which they haven't, not in a publicly traded company with stock, then they don't really know what that means necessarily. And so there is definitely an educate and informed process in that this has to kind of go through. But if that's what they care the most about, then the answer is going to ultimately. That's why I love people like that say they want to they're going to do their homework, because if you do your homework, then there's no question you're going to come to EXP. Like it's just a matter of you getting through that and figuring out how we're going to transition.
Yeah, I love Cindy Featherstone, her story out of Tyler, and she 25 years at ERA owning franchise to within just hearing her story of like, she just looks at her stock and she goes like, holy shit, 2 years. Like, she's acquired so much stock, and she goes, I said, what do you have to show for 25 years at ERA? She goes, not a damn thing, not a damn thing. And so that's not just for you as the team lead, that's real for your people. And, listening to the stories from her people tell, like, I would have never been able to acquire this being somewhere else. I would have never been able to have healthcare if I would have been somewhere else. Right. We know that most real estate agents don't have healthcare at all. Shit, we didn't. And we talked about it all the time. How can we provide healthcare for our people? How can we provide healthcare for our people? And like, shit, cuz I don't know how many years I went without healthcare.
Yeah, me too.
Right. Yeah. So it's just the little things like that the business doesn't allow you, because the math doesn't make sense to be able to provide. And so those are what's, Giselle and everybody else that I know it's on your mind, those are the problems. But what Jay said a little bit earlier was that you don't have to have that experience, but you've got to be able to connect them with somebody that has. That's where you've got to become world-class at inviting. Vincent Koo 101, world-class at inviting them to a conversation, inviting them to a webinar, inviting them to a video, inviting them to an event, inviting them to a training. If I would say, cuz as we're just kind of talking out loud through here, if you want to accelerate your growth with agent attraction, if you're going to become world-class at anything, it's world-class at inviting them to something that's going to resonate with where they're at in their career and the problems they're trying to solve.
Yep.
So, Giselle, hopefully that helped. Give you some and everybody else kind of listening in to be able to get some idea. Just staying with Giselle real quick. The initial contact is so important in being new to EXP. How do I align myself with the world-class recruiter in my area? Where do I find them? Because expand on this a little bit, but one thing I want to say, and if you guys have heard us say this for 4 years, what's the first rule of Fight Club? You don't talk about Fight Club.
Right.
What's the first rule of EXP? You do not talk about EXP. Like EXP never even has to come up. It doesn't. I mean, honestly,
Yeah,
it doesn't. It's the value add that you're helping them solve their problem.
Yep. That's it.
I would say, Giselle, you're asking world-class recruiter in your area. Where do you find them? I mean, why don't you become a world-class recruiter?
Well, I mean, you got 7 people in your, and if you haven't looked in your revenue share dashboard, you can look at your group of people, and if one of those 7 people isn't the person, then I guarantee one of those 7 people knows the person that would help you. And so, that's, they'll say, hey, that for someone like that, this would be the person to talk to.
Yeah.
And it's incredible how everybody helps each other in this company. I mean, that's
well. Let's explain why. I think this is good. We need to be reminded more than we need to be told. The law of diffusion. Sometimes we have to hear things, multiple times, 10, 15 times before sometimes something really resonates. I saw a quote the other day, because this is good, that I think it was Ryan Holiday, or a quote. He said something. He said, no human reads the same book twice. Meaning, if you picked up and you read the same book a dozen times, it's going to be different for you every time.
Yeah.
Because you're a different human being every time that you read it. You have a different perspective, you have a different experience, you have something different. So something's going to resonate with you a little bit different. I saw that. I was like, that's so good. So, talk about the, unpack that a little bit, as it relates to the upline and how powerful it is, and knowing who's who to be able to match kind of that experience.
That's what I was referencing earlier, without really making it clear, probably. But yeah, I mean, there's somebody, that's number one, that's in your, within the company. I mean, that's the ring of the circle is the entire company. It doesn't have to be somebody that's one of your seven levels. People will help you. And then, and why would we do that? Why? Because we are all financially in alignment here. When you do better, the company does better. When the stock goes, when we add agents, when we all do better, we add more agents. When we add more agents and do more production, we all make more money. The company makes more money. We all make more money. And so, it is, there is this thread of financial alignment throughout the whole entire company. But then there's your group, and there's some affinity within your group. And so most everyone in our group I've heard dozens and dozens of stories of how some of the most successful people in this company are helping people inside of our group, outside of our group, helping anybody and everybody. And so, approach the people that are doing well. They and there's going to be, identifying that team that you're working with on a regular basis when you have someone that matches up with something that they're excellent at helping solve. And yeah, I mean, and this we're talking about it at the highest level with independents and teams. I mean, with every other agent, there's only one. There's the main skill set you got to be able to help people with is, I could argue there's other skill sets, but the biggest problem, if you solve for them, that will unlock them for multiple levels of growth in their production is learning how to turn a customer into a client, how to turn dollars into commissions, by investing in marketing. And so if you can show someone how to close 2 or 3 more deals, or 2 deals a month, I mean, that's life changing for most people. They don't know how to do that. And so there's at every level of production, there's a different problem that has different problems that you encounter and have to be solved. I always go to the 8 level, the 8 stages report that we have, John, that kind of outlines, the biggest challenges at every stage that people are going through, and what you have to solve, what problem has to be solved to move to the next level. But for the most part, it is going to be, how to turn marketing dollars into a client. And so, makes it a lot easier when you understand what problem you need to be able to solve for them. But your people in your group, there's going to be people that are world class at something, and identifying that, and within your group, and then also just within your 7 generations and whatnot. So yeah, it's a lean on people. That's that's you don't have to all of a sudden become the most successful and the best in the world at something in order to attract agency EXP. That's the benefit of the business model. You don't have to become better than every person you recruit. That's just not the case.
Yeah, the principle there is compensation drives behavior, and that's one of the things I remember. I don't know where we were. I think we were in the car somewhere, heading somewhere, and you're like, "That's what Glenn did. I don't think he realized what he did, but he nailed the compensation. Like he nailed it." And I'm like, "That mofo show did."
He sure did. I mean, that's yeah. I mean, I remember. I remember when he said it, and I remember how I felt when he said it. And I just remember walking away like, I never thought this way. Like it didn't ever occur to me. He said, there are going to be people that make $1 million a month here, with this revenue share, and we're totally fine paying that. The people, we're going to attract the right kind of people that are going to help us grow this company. That's how big the opportunity is. And the reality is that that kind of money is not money that you can go make very easily in real estate. A $12 million a year with margins of 95%. We made $12 million, almost, not quite. We did 10 million, but that 10 million was, that 10 million wasn't take home, big difference. And so, when you create a big enough opportunity for other people, you attract the right kind of people to your opportunity. And that's, you call that, I can't believe how brilliantly executed it has been, but it is a beautiful thing.
It really is. And when you understand what we just shared and understand that compensation always drives behavior, it changed the behavior of real estate agents. That, one of the things that was really exciting and drew people to us at a high level from a mastermind perspective was that it got them into a room that people were open to share, and really from an abundant standpoint. But where they felt safe is because it was exclusive to their market. And when you look at real estate agents, traditionally in most situations, they're very protective of what they feel is secret to them, or their secret sauce. There ain't no damn secret sauce, but they're kind of forced because of a compensation to be a little bit of a scarcity mindset. And so they felt safe in our mastermind because it was exclusive. Unless you had somebody like a Jeff Cook who had an abundance mindset, who didn't give a shit. Bring Matt O'Neill, bring Caleb, bring them into the room. I don't care.
Right.
But that's pretty rare, except for when you drive in a different model that has a compensation that allows you to have an abundance mindset.
Yep.
And that's really, who we are at our core, honey badgers at our core, and honey badgers don't care, but honey badgers do care about each other. And I that's where that abundance mindset, and that's what we're talking about here, everybody, is that when you nail a model to where the compensation allows you to have an abundance mindset and rewards everybody winning instead of just me winning or just you winning. If we all win bigger.
Yeah. So let me, that's well said. You're literally taking the words right out of my mouth. So I listened to this, John, to this, you probably saw the post on game theory, and there's a quote. I can't remember the guy that said this, but essentially he says, when you can take a community of people and really truly understand how they're thinking, and you can make it where everybody wins. That's the magic, right? And so that's what changed the game. Like that's what was nailed in this, is that, in a traditional office, one of the challenges was always if you could have a vision for that office, first of all, you only had a territory, so you had constraints within the model. But when you can get everybody to win together, and think about this and the things and experiences and experiments that we've done, John, with like teams and having like Richard Dixon and Reedy and running teams, right? And they made a little bit more money on those agents, and they had their own team and they were leading people, and there were some things we did and tested that did work really well, but all in all, like the more money that you're paying into the brokerage, there's just a misalignment. There was always a misalignment. If my dad said, "Hey, it's great. We want to, here's the vision for the business." I don't do better when you recruit agents to Coldwell Banker. That wasn't. So why would I have the same vision as you? That was always misalignment. Every real estate agent in the country under every traditional model, there's a misalignment in the model. There's not. The other agents in the office are not going to get helped by the best agents in the office because it's not an incentive. There's no incentive for them to do that. Right. And so when you can create that like he has done with EXP, it just is. It really is that is the game changer. And when you look at game theory, it is. You change the entire game by getting us all into financial alignment. And so it's a. I mean, when I say it's a beautiful thing, I mean, it's just, I think about it all the time in context of like, where else is this going to start showing up? Because it hasn't really been done in any other arenas that I've seen it done this well. And so what other communities of people doing the same thing could be more in financial alignment if there was a business model that gave away stock and created this much opportunity for helping build it? Super cool.
It is super cool. And, it's one of the many lessons, Jay Abraham taught us is that if you want to, for all of you guys listening in, if you're just paying attention to what's going on in the space, in the real estate industry, in the real estate space, in the residential real estate space, you're only going to be able to grow incrementally. You're only going to be able to grow 6-7% max. Where the exponential breakthroughs happen is when you look outside of the industry in things that are successful in other industries and you apply to what it is you're doing. And so I love when you said that. It's like, where else are we going to see this to start to show up? Because it's hugely successful at EXP. Who else is going to borrow this at a high level and recreate the same model, but in a different industry? So yeah, right. It's just going to be fascinating to see where it starts to show up. You want to give an update on the app and kind of where things are at?
Yeah, we're what feels like 3 feet from gold, but it's very close. So we meet again on Thursday, and we've got the presentation. We're doing one last revision with the testimonials built into it, and so I would say we're within. I'm not going to say a week. I'm going to say 2 weeks, but it's getting very close. So very very close to the end zone on that, and it is going to be amazing.
It's going to be awesome. No doubt. I'm super excited. Hofstadter's law, right? Everything takes twice as long. Even when you factor in, it's going to take twice as long.
Yep.
Never fails. Never fails.
That is the case.
Hey, Kelly. So, cuz what, anything on the forefront that you're allowed to share? What's coming? What's new with EXP?
Hang on 1 second. You like that one? With what? We'll say that again. I'm not allowed to share with.
What can you share? I know there's some big changes. There's some big excitement stuff coming with EXP. Is there anything that that you're at liberty to share?
Nothing that I'm at liberty to share. So so just big things coming. I feel like I hate doing that because that's not my style. I'd much rather just tell everybody. But there's good things coming. Good things happening all around the board. So it's cool. Part of the thing I love about revenue share is it's giving me financial freedom, and I don't have the same level of leadership that was required to run a business, and people and manage and lead on a daily basis. That's a completely different animal. So getting to watch how they do it here at such a big level is fascinating. We have 2,100 employees, I think it is, across all the entities. Imagine that. Imagine that. I can't imagine that. I don't want to imagine that. But getting to see some of the inner workings of how they make decisions and stuff, and at a high level solve problems is pretty fascinating for sure.
Yeah, it really is, and there's some
Yeah,
there's some good.
the stock's on sale. I can't predict whether the stock's going to go up or down. Institutional investing is what drives a lot of stock price. But what would I, here's how I look at it. So, and this is not advice on the stock and or anything of that nature. But and this is hard to do when especially when you have you got a good chunk of money in something, is to be long term on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's easy to be like, especially if you get into crypto, that'll really get you. And so you got to be a long term thinker, and not thinking short term. And here's if you believe that we went from whatever it was the year before, 20,000, 21,000 or so agents, to 39,000 to 70,000. And if you believe that we're going to go to 140,000, what do you think the valuation of the company looks like at that point? That's really what you're betting on. And so, the stock's going to go up, the stock's going to go down. When it goes down like it has been, the whole entire market's red, you just buy more stock. That's what, you continue. I'm upside down in a lot of the stock that, I bought in and got out, did some stupid things. I should have sat on it all, every penny of it. And looking back, it's easy to say that, but like, if you believe that we're going to continue to grow, then it would make sense that, maybe the valuation of the company is going to look better in the future than it does today. I can't tell you that that's going to for sure be the case. The stock market's a tricky thing, but certainly I do believe that we're going to continue to grow. And with that being said, growing from 70,000 to 150,000 agents is a whole different animal in terms of potential, what this company might be valued at, I would imagine. So anyways, that's how I'm thinking about it. Make your own decisions, seek your own legal advice, whatever other legal disclaimer I'm going to throw in there.
Yeah. And
we ain't going nowhere, though. I don't think we're going anywhere.
One thing too, you just said it, and we had always talked about, and Coach Bird even says it too, the goal of business is to, make a sale and make a profit. And Eli Goldrat, that's what he talks about. Vern Harnish, his #1 book recommendation. But I would zoom out one step further beyond that, and you nailed it. And it's freedom. I mean, no matter what you guys are doing, and this goes, Giselle, this goes back to you talking to independents, talking to other people. They're looking for freedom. And the exercise that I love to take everybody through is, what is your absolute financial freedom number, and what's your perfect day? Mm-hmm. And that's what people are looking for. They're looking for that perfect day. They're looking for financial freedom. That means they've got, they're not the dancing bear. They've got money coming in that they're not trading time for dollars. And Coach Burt says it all the time, right? At some point in your life, you will want passive income at some point in your life. And, we can't be the dancing bear forever. And so what are you doing in your growth strategy to acquire revenue that you're not trading time for dollars? I mean, shit, I wish we would have focused on this in 2004, 2005, building those multiple streams of income to where it doesn't force us, to sell 50 houses one month, to reset, to do it all over again the next month. and so, yeah, man, understand, no matter what, every one of you guys that's hearing this will hear this. You want freedom. And I promise you, everybody you're talking to, they want freedom as well. And everybody's number is different. Everybody's definition of freedom is different. And so when you can help them and fast forward them out to the future, and it's like, hey, you're an independent broker. I mean, is this what you want to do in 10 years? Right? Fast forward them into the future, make it real. How old are your kids? And really start to, be like, damn, I mean, think about that. Do you want to be the 73-year-old real estate agent that's out opening doors? Hell no.
Nope.
Hell no. Mr. Sims, brother. So we kicked off last month. We got a really good layout of kind of events and things that we're going to commit to moving into the new year. We will not be going back to St. Thomas. The reason is that there's just too many sticky situations and hoops you got to jump through, as well as when we were where we were at. our location wasn't big enough. So we knew we were going to be limited on space, and then you got to jump through hoops, and the islands are different right now, and I don't see the islands changing anytime soon. I mean, because you live on an island, and so it's bananas trying to get into that place. And
it is bananas is the best way to describe it. I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all.
No sense. So we are looking to reschedule the mastermind, but we will be here in the States, and hopefully, I know we're meeting monthly right now, so hopefully when we meet again, that we'll be able to give you guys something a little firm to be able to look forward to get in the calendar, understand how fast everybody's calendar is filling up. So try to get that out to you guys as soon as we can.
Right on.
Yeah, Beth, that's good. They're definitely, I'm in the beta group because I know you're in the alpha group, and it's just good, man. Just connecting on those calls. They listen, they take feedback. I mean, shit, Beth. I mean, you're in the inner workings and inner trenches of listening and providing feedback to leadership. So,
and it's cool. It's you can't. It just doesn't happen at other companies like this. That's behind the curtains. We've known people in other companies. We don't have to talk about which ones, but when you get behind the curtains in leadership and the discussions that happen, they'll all tell you that it's a facade. It's not what it appears to be, and they're shocked and their eyes are big and they're like, "It's not what I thought it was going to be." And so that is okay. Okay, all right, I'm on call. Yep. So one of the things I do like about living on the island is the doctors come to you, which is cool.
There you go.
But yeah, what was I saying? What was I saying? Lost it.
I lost it too. I was reading Beth's comment and Chip's. So yeah, I lost it.
Yeah, no, it's the leadership.
Yeah.
They're having conversations with still when it would be easy to say this is just going to continue to grow, regardless of if we get on this call with our other influencers in the company or not. That are being compensated awfully well. You might look past the necessity of staying plugged in, getting feedback, listening to your key people that are helping grow the company. That's not normal. It's not normal to see that at the level of transparency that there is. So that's been something that from the get go I've been very pleased with.
Man. I'll never forget, man. I mean, you and I talk about this all the time. I mean, you and I sitting right directly across from Glenn and Jason in Fort Lauderdale. What did the company just surpass 4,000 agents? I mean, that was the celebration there. That was EXPCon, and there were 400 people there at EXPCon, 500 people max in Fort Lauderdale. And we sat right across from Jason and Glenn, and being able to hear Glenn share the vision for EXP. And then less than 2 years later, sitting at shareholders in Orlando and just talking about all of the accomplishments since the previous event. And I was just like, this mofo is executing on everything that he said was going to happen is happening. And so when you believe in the vision, and then you believe in the leadership because they're executing on, they're doing what they say they're going to do. That's when shit's real.
Yeah,
it is real.
Yep.
Man, good stuff, cuz. Man, I appreciate you. And like I said, I always look forward to Tuesdays. I know we get Al hanging with us every other week, but this is just fun, fantastic conversations and being able to unpack and dive deep for anybody listening in. And we hope you guys are a little more clear, a little more focused, a little more committed, and ready to take action. One thing I'll kind of, as we kind of wrap up here, is kind of what talking with Alex last night, right? And Alex is really big on really nailing in what is your one measurement, what is your one number that you're paying attention to this year. And if you guys have gone through EOS on the traction side of things, not Coach Burt's EOS, but the entrepreneurial organization system, there is a key metric. If you've gone through any of the stuff with us, we talk functional accountability chart. Everybody has a measurement they're responsible for. That's agreements versus expectations. What measurement are you responsible for? And anything that's a measurement's a number. So what number are you responsible for growing your business, growing your agent attraction, moving forward? And Alex, I've got him on Expert Mentors next week, and we're going to talk about this. And he's big on conversations. And he said the reason is that conversations is an effort metric.
Mm-hmm.
And he said one of the things that I've seen with agents, and as soon as I say this, you're going to be like, yep, is that agents have been getting lazy. They've been rewarded for bad behavior and their effort is off. And he said, if they will refocus on their effort, meaning number of conversations I need to have every month, every week, every day in order to move me closer to my freedom, that's something within their control, right? Because you want a measurement, especially a leading measurement that's within your control.
Yep.
And so, what's your measurement? What are you paying attention to? And, make sure you guys tune in to Expert Mentors next week with Alex and myself. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why conversations is so important right now.
Love that.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. David, MGK, man, both. Both. I got, obviously in all the little chat groups and stuff, but he dropping 2 albums this year. They already know one of them's it's the dark side on the punk, on the rock side. It's darker than Tickets to My Downfall. And then they think the other one's going to be another rap album. So we'll see. He'll drop 2 this year. So we'll see. Hey, one thing he did say, cuz this was super cool. And I told Al I'm in as soon as he releases this, is that he's going to do small little pop-up venues over the old albums. So
that's cool.
The Bloom album, right? So he'll do a pop-up somewhere in some city that he just does all the songs off the Bloom album and stuff. So I was like, I like that. That's he's thinking differently. And cool. It is cool. All right, cuz, I appreciate you. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys need anything, have any questions, feel free to reach out, and let's keep rocking. Boom.